What is up, everybody? I'm here with Tabmok99, Mortal Kombat lore legend of part of Mortal Kombat Online. How are you doing today? Thank you for joining me.
Hey, I'm doing so great. Thank you so much for having me. Headlocked Gaming, pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming in. I wanted to ask you, MK, the early days, what was your first thoughts when you first experienced Mortal Kombat?
So I first experienced Mortal Kombat back in the very first one, Mortal Kombat 1, back in the early 90s when it first came out on home systems. I was at a friend's house playing it on their Sega Genesis, and they had the blood code unlocked. And man, it was just unlike anything I'd ever seen. I was into it, like I was fully into it right from day one.
Now, what was your favorite Mortal Kombat out of the original ones in the arcade? Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, and 4, and home ports.
Okay. Out of all of those, I would say Mortal Kombat 2 was the best one. They seemed to hit all the right notes. You know, the gore was just the right level. It didn't get too cartoony. The gameplay was awesome. I feel like they had perfected it. The graphics looked good. They used that upgraded camera. Man, everything was just like perfect. MK2 is still a lot of people's very favorite game.
Now, while we're on those original home ports, I was going to ask you, do you still have your original copies or any of your original copies that you
All of
obtained?
them.
All of them?
All of them. Yep.
Fantastic. That's this is
Yep.
one
In
of my
fact,
most prized ones.
My Mortal Kombat 2, I still have a sticker that I put on the back of it, and it came with some kind of meal. I think it was called like Kids Cuisine. Do you remember that from the 90s?
Yep. I remember
Kids
that.
Kids Cuisine had a little sticker that you could put on the back, and it says this video game belongs to, and you write your name on it. So I wrote my name on the sticker and put it on the back of my MK2 cartridge because that was my favorite game.
Now, I do get asked this a lot in my live streams. The name issue between Raiden, Raiden, and Rayden. Can you clarify that for the viewers and for the Mortal Kombat fans out there?
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, at the time I thought it was clear. I thought everybody sort of knew where it was. But nowadays I see people are like, well, why did they change the spelling? And it used to be this, and then they changed it. So the deal is, in the original arcade games, it was Raiden. That's the way that they spelled it in the original ones. And on the home systems, Acclaim had changed it. They made it Rayden. Why did they do that? They were afraid of a potential lawsuit from another video game company that made a game called Raiden. So that was like a top-down shooter where you play in a plane, and it's a cool game. There was nothing to worry about, and Ed Boon has actually tweeted about this. He said, "I hated the way Acclaim spelled Raiden with a Y." He also said that that was the decision of idiots. Um, so I thought that was kind of funny. But honestly, they were just being overly cautious. They wanted to avoid a potential lawsuit. Um, they were being maybe a little bit too cautious, but whatever. They didn't get sued, so I guess you could say it worked out.
Can never be too cautious.
Yeah,
And
and then the funny thing is they kept it with a Y, even when Acclaim wasn't doing it anymore. They like for MK Mythology Sub-Zero, if you look at like the website or the instruction manual, they still spelled it with a Y there. They kind of kept that going for a little while after Acclaim left until once Acclaim was out of the picture, they kind of did that a little bit longer until Deadly Alliance, and then you've never seen it ever again.
they actually had that Raiden arcade game at a local bowling alley where I used to grow up and where I was growing up, and I always looked at it a little sideways because I had a feeling that's what it was. But
Yeah. Doesn't looking at that game make you think about Mortal Kombat?
every time, and it made me wish the Mortal Kombat machine was there in place of it, or at least next to it.
Fair
Now,
enough.
with growing up, what Mortal Kombat character and what Mortal Kombat game had your favorite storyline behind it, lore, I should say?
Yes, yeah. I okay, so rather than picking a favorite character, I always liked the way the storylines were intertwined with each other. So I loved, for example, how Kano and Sonya had like a story connection where Sonya was there
Okay,
following Kano. She wanted to bring him in. Or Scorpion and Sub-Zero had a rivalry, or Katana and Melina were raised together as sisters. So I always loved stories that tied into another character.
like the dance between the characters. I like that.
Yes, yes, and the,
I
uh,
like
the the
that.
back and forth. The way the story starts out, like Scorpion and Sub Zero. Sub Zero killed Scorpion, so he's gonna kill him back. That kind of a thing. That was always my very favorite rivalry right from the beginning because the stakes were high.
That
Sonya was probably just gonna arrest Kano, but Scorpion was in it for revenge for his death.
Absolutely. Now, Mortal Kombat Online, the early days of Mortal Kombat Online, we're coming up. When did Mortal Kombat Online? When did it come out? When did it become a
Okay,
thing?
so way back when, it was called mk5.org. And that started actually on Christmas in 1999. It was started by two buddies of mine, Scott and Joey. So I need to give a shout out to Scott and Joey right now. They started it up and they've kept it going ever since.
The golden days. I
Yep.
You're taking it way back now. And the Combat Pavilion. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the Combat Pavilion over on Mortal Kombat Online, it is a resource area like none other. And it is fantastic. I was actually on there last night. I wanted to get into some of there's some other, like the Shijinko game, for instance. What can you tell us about the Shijinko game? Because I don't think a lot of people are familiar with these.
I'm hoping you can live stream that one of these days. I would
I
love to
would
see you play
love
through
to.
it.
I would love
Yeah.
to.
Okay, so when I started the Combat Pavilion, this was in 1997. This is before the days of social media. So if you weren't around on the internet in the mid to late 90s, what you got to understand is there were hundreds and hundreds of Mortal Kombat fan sites. I'm not kidding. There were tons on GeoCities. There were tons hosted on like AOL Hometown. There was Fortune City. There was just tons and tons of them everywhere. And what I wanted to do with the Combat Pavilion was I wanted to make my own Mortal Kombat website, but I wanted to do something a little bit different than what everybody else had. So I just wanted to kind of cover the stuff that nobody else was covering. So that's sort of how it started. Like other websites had wallpapers, so I was going to have screensavers. Other websites did never had Winamp skins, but I knew that there were a few out there. I just wanted to consolidate all the Winamp skins in one place. There was like free games that people made, like Pack Combat and Pong Combat and MK Ping Pong and just all kinds of different stuff. I wanted to put them all in one place and says, hey, here's all the Mortal Kombat fan games you guys can get. And then before I knew it, little by little, those other fan sites just all started dropping off. And I kept the Combat Pavilion around. And then before you know it, it just kind of became this huge thing. Like over the years, I've accumulated a lot of stuff and just kept it all going.
It is a giant resource for I believe you got audio files in there. I think I just for people that watch me, when you hear audio effects on my stream, some of those may have come from the Combat Pavilion. So thank you, Tabmok.
Oh, you're welcome. Around like I told you I made that in '97, but around 2004, I gave the site a little bit of an overhaul, and I started seeing there was a trend for people to like post their sprite comics, and they were posting animated GIFs
Oh,
and
yep.
flash animations. So I just started collecting those, and then before you know it, that just sort of became what the site was all about. That became like its new purpose. It was just a place for people to post their comics and animations.
That I have a lot of hard drive space taken up with stuff from there. And I wanted to some of the stuff in the Combat Pavilion, getting into the Mortal Kombat fan games and hacks and stuff like that. You've done some awesome videos, and I'm gonna put links to some of these videos in the description. But like, I think it's FSF Ninja, Dragon Fighter, Ultimate MK on the Famicom, the Dragon, which is I believe the Bruce Lee hack with Liu Kang
Yep.
in it on NES. There's a bunch of fan games out there, Mortal Kombat hacks. Do you have a favorite one?
Oh man, it's funny because I just saw you doing a live stream about a week or two ago where you were talking about the Mortal Kombat Mythologies Sub-Zero hack on the Super Nintendo.
Yes.
And
Mortal
I think
Kombat
that one's,
Mythologies 2000?
yes, Mortal Kombat Mythologies Gold 2000. That's
Gold,
right.
that's right.
That one is probably the favorite one that I have in my collection, just because I'd spent so many years trying to track it down and getting nowhere. And then I finally saw a copy on a Brazilian website, and my sister-in-law is Brazilian. She was able to help me get it. She speaks Portuguese. She has family still down there. They're able to like get it shipped to a relative's house, and then from there over to me. So I was so lucky to be able to get that game. That's probably one of my favorite like unofficial Mortal Kombat games in my collection.
Excuse me. And I'm not sure how you discovered this, but is it it's the Super Nintendo version of Mythologies that the controls are somewhat backwards, or is
Yep.
it the face buttons? And
Yeah,
I think
they're a little weird. Like you have to hold the kick button down and then jump in order to do a jump kick. There was all kinds of stuff like that that I figured out. But once you know how it works and you can play it, it's winnable.
yeah, If it wasn't for your videos, I would have stood no chance because jump kicking on one of those, I think it's a Sega version, is one of the oddest
It
combinations
is.
I've ever seen.
Oh,
Now,
and if you get into the later levels of the game, trying to ride the elevator, right? Like that. I don't even know how I figured that stuff out, but I really wanted to beat the game. I really wanted to play through all the way in order to show the ending on the video. Like, there's no point in showing a video of like the first level and then turning it off. I wanted to show the whole thing.
I couldn't do it. And the maps, thank you for the maps as well. Now,
Yeah, very important. I needed them. I needed to make them for myself in order to beat it. So of course I'm going to just share it with everybody once I've got them.
I had to ask you. Let's see if this comes through on the green
Mortal
screen.
Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero and Mortal Kombat Special Forces.
I wanted to get your take as Mortal Kombat kind of evolved to leaving the arcades, coming home for good, and then the spin-off games and getting into the 3D era of combat. Like when Mortal Kombat left the arcades and we started getting the spin-offs, what was your
Yep.
thoughts on back then? What were your thoughts on Special Forces and Sub-Zero mythologies, and have they changed to now?
Okay, well, first of all, leaving the arcades and doing home games had to be done. You know, arcades just weren't in it. You couldn't make arcade games, and that business model was out. There weren't going to be any new Mortal Kombat games that way. So I'm glad that Midway evolved with the times and did what they needed to do in order to keep Mortal Kombat going. It would have been sad to say, "Hey, remember those arcade games in the '90s? Remember Mortal
Oh
Kombat? That was
man,
fun."
you're
I'm
yeah.
glad they kept it going. The 3D era is always going to hold a special place in my heart. You know, when I was finally old enough, when I finally turned 18, I was able to go to E3. That's when Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance was out at E3, like in 2002. So I
Oh
was so
wow.
happy. Yes. And you know, you've probably seen the pictures of me and some of the Mortal Kombat Online crew and staff going to the Midway office. We actually did like a lot of events like that. We would go to E3, we would go to Midway Gamers Day,
That's
we would
cool.
just go to the Midway office out there in Chicago. We would go to like Comic Con, whatever there was that we needed to go. We would go to those events and cover them for the website to give everybody the latest and greatest news. And that was during the 3D era. That 3D era is always going to be awesome to me, especially for that reason.
I remember following a ton. I actually have a lot of DVDs of there was a ton of content for Deception and Armageddon on Mortal Kombat Online, and I spent many hours on the sites back then. I was curious, in your collection on the 3D games, do you have a copy of Mortal Kombat Mystification?
Yeah, I do. That was available in France. They had to change the name because the name Deception is obviously French for disappointment. So that wasn't going to work.
This is in my collection thanks to a video you did as well, I believe. Oh, actually, yes, it
Oh,
is. It is. It's for your
awesome.
lesser known Mortal Kombat ports, so I thank you for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Uh-oh, I think you cut out for a second. That's okay. Did I lose you? Uh-oh.
Okay, I see you
Oh,
again.
we're back.
Dude,
Excellent.
that is so cool that you went and tracked down a copy of Mystification based on that video.
I did, and I also went back and I'll put a link to this video as well for all you guys checking out this video because they've seen me do the Super Famicom version of Mortal Kombat 2, which is a lesser known version that has black and white fatalities,
Green
green
blood.
blood. Yeah, and it's quite interesting. Real quick before I forget, what can you tell everybody about the Ultimate Guide to Mortal Kombat CD-ROM? Because I can find very little information about this online.
All right, if you watch the Mortal Kombat Journey Begins on VHS, there is a trailer for the Ultimate Guide to Mortal Kombat CD-ROM. So
Okay.
you could probably find the trailer on YouTube. So definitely look that up. I could also tell you that I got the very last copy that the store had of the Ultimate Guide to Mortal Kombat CD-ROM.
Ooh.
I got it, and I didn't even have a computer. I figured I'll probably get a computer one day. So, and I did, obviously, and it's a great thing. Have you tried it? Have you ran it? Have you seen how it works?
No, I've tried to run it. I need to get some Windows. I need to do some trickery to run it.
There's some stuff. There's some stuff you got to do. I can help you with that. So let's get
Ooh,
together after we're done with the video. I'll see if I can give you a walkthrough of what to do.
excellent. And up to now, what do you think was the highest point in Mortal Kombat's history? And then followed by what do you think was the lowest point up to now?
Okay. Okay, so I think the highest point and the lowest point came really close, like right after the other. I really think that 1995, there's a video out there where they call that the year of Mortal Kombat, which I think was true because for many, many, many years, if you look at what was the best video game movie ever made, they say it was Mortal Kombat. And I get it that there's not that many video game movies, but Mortal Kombat was the number one. You know, it's better than Doom, it's better than Resident Evil, it's better than Street Fighter, it's better than Super Mario Brothers. Some people maybe prefer Sonic, or some people might prefer Rampage, but I really feel like Mortal Kombat is the best of the best of the best. And now with the 2021 movie, it's like, huh, well, gee, maybe that one's actually better. I'm not even sure. It's kind of a toss up. Like, which Mortal Kombat movie is the best one? Either way, I'm pretty sure the Mortal Kombat movie remains the best video game movie of all time.
I would say I'd side with you on that one. There's a bunch of
Yeah.
video game movies I haven't seen, but I'd say from general consensus, even from just online polls that you see floating around out there, when people ask what's the greatest, you check comment section, you'll usually see that running through.
Yeah, and when you hear people say like, "Can this movie be the one that breaks the video game movie curse?" Somebody in the comments will always say, "Actually, Mortal Kombat broke the video game movie curse." So there you go. And then you would also ask me about the low point. So the low point was kind of right around the corner, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. They followed up the success of the
Oh yeah,
original with the sequel, but didn't really quite turn out the same.
that
And
movie.
after, go ahead.
Go. I was gonna say that movie fascinated me because if you watch it back, they didn't have a lot of fight scenes per se. It was a lot of somebody would jump at somebody and then they'd cut to the other person falling backwards, and very interesting animations in that.
Yeah, yeah. I actually got like a special family-friendly version of the movie where they trimmed out even more. I guess this is like the made-for-TV version.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's what's one of those rarities that I've got in my collection. I'll
that's.
show it to you sometime.
I wonder how many variations are around the world. Now that brings me to my next question. What is your absolute favorite piece in your collection, and what's your absolute favorite video you've ever worked on?
Okay, okay. So I've got a lot of cool things in my collection. I need to give a shout out to Justin McCollum, who's a 3D artist, 3D printer.
Oh, yeah.
You know who I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Much love.
He makes the Shinnok's amulet. Like, dude, for you to just be able to go on Etsy, search for Shinnok's amulet, and then Justin McCollum makes this really, really cool one.
I
That
didn't
is
know that
just,
was him. I'll pick one up.
yeah. I did a video about Shinnok's amulet, which I was trying to work on one myself, and I was trying to like get together with my brother and like make my own amulet that I could kind of hold up and show off for the video, and I wasn't happy with it. Justin McCollum comes along, makes that one just in time, so I was able to make the video and use that as a prop, which I was so happy with him for.
Oh, that's really cool. Now, do you have like a favorite Mortal Kombat shirt by any chance?
Uh,
Because you have some of the best shirts in your collection, and I love your backgrounds in your videos, and I love your shirts that you have in all your videos. They're very
oh, thank
unique.
you. Thank you. Well, right now the shirt that I'm wearing came from Kohl's, and this was given to me by MK Habit Addict. So I got to give
Oh,
him a
okay.
shout out too. And I love the shirt you're wearing. Where did you get that one from?
I believe this is an Etsy special edition. So,
Oh man, it's really cool looking. It's the marquee. It's the marquee from the very first arcade game. That's so iconic.
and do you have one of the arcades at your place? One of the one-ups or one of the originals?
Actually, neither, but I do have a custom MAME cabinet that's preloaded with MK1, MK2, MK3, Ultimate MK3, MK4, and even somehow they squeezed on MK Trilogy. So this is like the ultimate Mortal Kombat arcade machine. I'm very happy with it.
That's absolutely awesome. And okay, the big question: thoughts on MK currently, and where we're currently at with Mortal Kombat, lore wise and story wise, and what could be coming next, if anything, for the 30th anniversary next year.
Well, if you look, Ed Boon just tweeted some behind the scenes footage of the very first Mortal Kombat 1 game, which makes people think they're getting ready to do something for the 30-year anniversary. I actually have a t-shirt, like a special one-of-a-kind t-shirt that I got for the 29-year anniversary, which they're already sold out of. The site that I got it from is already out of business. Um, I'm
That
hoping to get another one for the 30-year.
that is a very nice shirt. I got it up right now, and I remember when that came out. That was a beauty of a shirt. and that is a
Definitely.
gem right there. So do you?
Definitely. But to answer your other question, like where are they at with the lore and everything? Um, this new timelines, and the more they add to the lore, the more the critics kind of come out and say, I don't think the new writers understand what the old writers were doing, and there's a lot of conflicts there. And even sometimes you see the writers butting heads. You'll see like Dominic and Sean Kittleson, you'll see them each saying different things about, for example, how they view the comics. Are the comics canon or not? Or how they view the role of the One Being. Does he outrank the Titans or not? Like they've got different ideas now. I guess you could call it like too many chefs spoiling the broth. I still love the Mortal Kombat lore. I still love the story. All those little details aside, I definitely love following it, and I can't wait to see what's coming next. Which it looks like they're setting up for a reboot, right? Like another time travel reboot. This time, Fire God Liu Kang goes back in time and helps the great Kung Lao get ready for the tournament, get ready for his big victory. So we'll see how it goes. But that's where I think they're going with it. Yeah, for part 12.
And do you think there is any chance that behind the scenes that maybe they're getting ready to? Is there any possibility Mortal Kombat 12 is the next NRS title, or do you think we're probably just going to get maybe Injustice or another IP or?
Well, if you look at the pattern, it's always Injustice, Mortal Kombat, Injustice, Mortal Kombat. They always go back and forth. I don't see what that would change. Like I see some people speculating that MK12 is coming. I'm like, I don't see why they would do that. I think they need to give themselves a break from Mortal Kombat, let themselves get some ideas. I know that they're working on it in the background while they're still doing Injustice. So let it marinate a bit. Let them cook up some details and let them figure out where they want to go with it. And let's see what they can do for Injustice 3 in the meantime.
I'm sure it is a busy day at the office every day at the
Yeah.
office for them.
Yeah,
Um,
well, because these days in game development, it's like once the game goes gold or goes platinum or whatever they call it, that's not the end. Now there's endless patches and
oh,
updates
that's right.
and DLC. Like they don't get a break anymore. I don't know how it was in the old days. I kind of got the feeling that they had a little bit of downtime in between breaks. I don't think they get downtime anymore, these guys.
No. Now, coming up on 30 years of Mortal Kombat next year, what are some of your favorite memories being involved with Mortal Kombat over the years? Like
Um,
absolute standout things that you just put a smile on your face.
Dude, I had a chance to do so much, and I love the Mortal Kombat community. There's so many great people in it. I love meeting the developers and the actors. I love meeting those guys. I love interacting with other fans. I had a chance to make my own Sprite comics back in the day. I sent you a preview of like one of them. Um, I
That's
used to love
fantastic.
I mean, I used to just, before YouTube and before videos and stuff like that, I would just make comics and just write a bunch of sprite comics and post them. It was so much fun making my own game, like we were talking about the Shujinko game. I didn't do it all by myself. I partnered with a guy, Jimbo Limbo, out there in the UK. We worked online together and made the Shujinko game. Like that's probably one of my most favorite things that I did back in the days before YouTube. Just having a chance to do so many other things and now it's all about the video. Now it's all about doing YouTube videos.
And see, I just put up the picture of you in front of Midway, and that is a gem of a picture right there.
Yeah, so going in and being part of the MK5.org crew or Mortal Kombat Online, hanging out. Let me see who's in that picture. You've got Mobster for Christ, you've got Scott Howe, you've got CC Shadow, and you've got me. I'm all the way at the end wearing a hat. In fact, I've still got that hat right here. This is it.
That is
Let me
fantastic.
see. Let me see so you can see the Mortal Kombat logo. Is that on this side? No, that's the other one. Hold on. Yeah, there it is. There's the Mortal Kombat. And this hat was a special thing that I got from ordering the DVD from Brazil. It came with this hat. If you were in Brazil and you ordered the movie, this came with it. It was amazing.
That's
I used to
incredible.
I used to order the movies from like different countries just to see what different special features there were.
Well, see, I
Um,
didn't know. Like a lot of movies, like there's so many different variants of movies depending on where they're released. I had no idea. I just found that out recently.
Oh yeah, like if you order Mortal Kombat Annihilation from Australia, they have these behind the scenes interviews with the actors and actresses that you can't see anywhere else. It's crazy. Like why didn't we get that here?
That's fascinating. Now,
Yeah, I used to import Mortal Kombat DVDs just from like every country just to see what they had.
I wanted to ask you also your favorite boss out of all the bosses in Mortal Kombat history. Who's the end all be all in your eyes? Who's the greatest champion bad guy?
Oh, I don't think you can beat Shao Kahn, man. I really think, I mean, he's the classic boss. They even reused the same sprites for Mortal Kombat 2 and 3. It was the same footage. A couple new moves that they gave him, but it's Brian Glynn all the way. He was awesome. That Shao Kahn costume was amazing. You can even in the new game in MK11, you can still unlock like the original gear, like they redesigned the classic helmets and stuff.
And you did a video, I believe, about the early connections between Terminator and Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
And can you refresh my memory on that? Because I believe it
Yeah.
was. Go ahead and refresh my memory on that.
Yeah, right for the, okay, so if you look at the credits of the game, there's a lot of the same people who worked on Terminator also had a hand in Mortal Kombat, like in different roles.
Yep.
But okay, if you look in the instruction booklet, right? On the back of the MK1 instruction booklet for Super Nintendo, there's an ad for Terminator. It's just like if you look at Stryker's ending in Mortal Kombat 3, that actually came from a scene right from Terminator 2. There was just tons and tons of stuff like that, like all these unexpected Mortal Kombat Terminator connections that I don't think a whole lot of people knew about. So I just kind of wanted to compile them all and put them in one place.
Now, I had a viewer question. If
Yes.
everyone gets to come back in Mortal Kombat as a Revenant, how come King Jared didn't come back as a Revenant?
So the reason for that, like, there's the lore reason, there's the real life reason why then the developers do it, and then there's the lore reason. So I guess I'll start with the lore reason. Um, Ermac is the reason. All the dead Outworld warriors are part of Ermac, and if you look at Ermac's ending in Mortal Kombat 9, I sent you a picture of this. You'll see that one
Yep.
of the souls kind of takes over the body and sort of manages to kind of calm all the other voices down, and he rises to the top. That's Jared.
That's one of my favorite endings too.
It is pretty amazing. It is cool to think like, wait, all those dead Outworld souls, they are all. That's what Ermac is. He's an amalgamation of souls that includes Jared. That was a crazy revelation at the end of MK9, and they've gone and showed little pieces of Jared over the years. They showed him in like the Mortal Kombat comics in Malibu. If you get the Katana and Melina issue, there's a flashback where they show Jared. If you watch MK Legacy, the live action web series, there's another flashback where they had King Jared. But they've never actually showed him in game as a character, as a playable character. And I really think that the Mortal Kombat team, they always like to leave the door open to maybe do that in the future. They're always leaving the door open for that in the sequel or a prequel. They could sometimes do a prequel with and Jared could be a playable character. You never know with these guys.
Do you think we'll ever see some of these characters from lesser known characters in the franchise, let's say like King Gorbak or Oniro or any of these characters possibly brought back into a prequel?
Yeah, of course, because the Mortal Kombat team, they love doing these references. They love like doing all these callbacks to obscure stuff. If you look at the MKX comics, they did a callback where they brought King Gorbak back. If you read the MKX comics, they had like a flashback where they showed the Special Forces characters like Tasha and No Face alongside Tremor and
I
Jarek.
did not know that. I'll have to go
Yeah,
back and look
it's
at that.
crazy. No, it's crazy, man. They always love to do these callbacks. I could never see them do a new Mortal Kombat game without some kind of reference to either like a rumor or some obscure piece of MK trivia that only the most hardcore dedicated fans would know, you know what I mean? I think they love doing that stuff.
Speaking of hardcore things MK fans would know, one thing I forgot to mention when we were on Special Forces. So, the unreleased E3 prototype of Mortal Kombat Special Forces, I've seen you play that. I believe you played that with Fatal Kate, I think, right?
Exactly right.
Okay,
Sure
so
did.
a lot of people don't know that this Mortal Kombat Special Forces was not the original game. Forgive my green screen for taking out this beautiful green cover, but we got a different version of the game than was originally planned. And what did you think about the original Mortal Kombat Special Forces, the
Well,
unreleased prototype?
I remember being on the internet in the late 90s. I remember looking at previews, again, going back to TRMK, looking at their E3 page and looking at the photos they took of Sonya and Jax. And those pictures are still out there, like the photos that they took with their camera before camera phones were even a thing.
Yep.
And I do remember being disappointed with the real MK Special Forces, like the retail version. It was only $20, brand new.
Oh, that's not
That
bad.
was No, it wasn't bad at all, but that told you that, oh, wow, their expectations are kind of low then. They don't think this game's going to sell well. Um, the story that I heard was that John Tobias had just left Midway. He just went to form Studio Giganti. And so Midway sort of rushed out an inferior version of the game. But the
I
fact is, it's not the game that John Tobias worked on. What happened with MK Special Forces and, the prototype version was going to be a better game.
It was an interesting. I've played it. It's an interesting game. You got much further in it than I did, but I beat this recently. It's an interesting playthrough if you want to experience a Jack story. Now, do
What
you
was,
have
what was your favorite part?
not the last level? I would say favorite part. The whole game is I'd say the first level is probably my favorite part, just because I've done it so many times that I can run around and experience it. But the camera angles change. It's kind of got a Metal Gear, so I could see what they were trying to do. It was all right.
Yeah, it does have a Metal Gear Solid kind of feel. Yeah, you're right.
Now, do you have any upcoming videos, projects, anything on Mortal Kombat Online, or anything that you would like to let the viewers know about coming up, or
Oh, okay,
anything?
yeah. Um, so I just recently did a compilation video where we talked about a bunch of people shared their stories about how they got into Mortal Kombat, and
Excellent.
yeah, so I'm already working on a sequel. I know the video is already the video is about an hour long, so really didn't want to make it any longer than that because I figured who's gonna want to watch more than this. But I do want to do a part two so that if anybody is really still hungry for those viewer stories and how did people first find out about Mortal Kombat, and I would love to have you in on the second one.
I would love to be a part of that. That was absolutely fantastic. I was watching that last night, and it's just an amazing journey of classic combat stories, and I just love hearing stuff like that. So
I
I'm gonna.
guess the other most recent lore video that I did was about Liu Kang's long lost costume. Like he had a planned costume for MK1 that he
Yep.
wears and he takes off. That's why he's shirtless in the game. They had a whole thing planned for it. And if you read the comics, if you look at the behind the scenes videos, all the pieces of the puzzle are there. So I made a video kind of putting it all together.
And do you know anything? Is I don't know if this is fan rumor or not. The original Liu Kang fatality in Mortal Kombat 1, the rotation with the uppercut. Is there any truth to the rumor that it was because he was a Shaolin monk and he did not kill? Or is that just
So
fan conjecture?
yeah, I asked John Tobias about that, and
Ooh.
he said he's not really sure if it started out like as a glitch, like an oversight, like a oversight from the programming of it, or if that was intentional. But once they saw it, they liked it so much, and it did speak to his character. Then they made a conscious choice to leave it that way.
Wow, that's cool. Do you ever play in Fight Club or do you ever hang out with Fight Club over on Mortal Kombat Online? Like I would like to join over there one of these days, but I'm not.
Okay, okay, yeah, definitely you got to join the club. I play on Steam, and right now Fight Club I think just does PlayStation and Xbox. So I'm actually not, even though I'm part of MK Online, I'm not actually in the Fight Club part of it. But the system itself is amazing. The way it gives like the stats and the breakdown of the fights and everything like that, it's just so super incredible. You really have to check out fightclub.gg for yourself and take part in it. And I encourage you after the stream, or maybe this weekend, sign up for it and play around with it and see what you think.
I was looking at the leaderboards last night. There's some heavy hitters over there. Tab,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for sitting down to have a chat with me, my friend. You absolutely love everything you do. I love the lore minute over on your channel. I'm gonna put a link to Tabmok's YouTube channel down below in the description of this video. Make sure you guys check him out. Check out MortalKombatOnline.com. Fantastic resource center. Make sure you check out the Combat Pavilion as well when you're over there. And any final thoughts on Mortal Kombat as a whole? And oh, before we go, I did want to ask you this: if Mortal Kombat had never become a thing, what gaming franchise would you have seen yourself possibly being into?
Oh wow, what a
I
what a
want,
question.
yeah, I wanted to drop a big one on at the end.
It's so hard to think. I don't know. Like we're assuming that another video game would have grabbed me, and I don't know. Mortal Kombat is just so amazing. I don't know if there's another game that would have like filled that hole if there had been one. I might have just gotten into like computers and coding or something like that. I might have had nothing to do with gaming at all. I trying to imagine what my life would be like without Mortal Kombat. You know, Mortal Kombat is sort of like my window into the world, right? Like, what the reason that I got into computers and wanting to learn how to like program websites and learning HTML and getting into YouTube and stuff like that. Mortal Kombat is sort of like the reason for all of it. Like Mortal Kombat is what made me want to build my own site. That's why I made the Kombat Pavilion, was because there's so many other cool Mortal Kombat fan sites. I wanted to get in on it. There's so many cool Mortal Kombat channels. It took me a while before I finally decided, yes, let me make my own YouTube channel. But I did, and I love talking about Mortal Kombat lore or showing like obscure Mortal Kombat fan games and discussing like the trivia. Um, I have no without Mortal Kombat in my life, man. I can't even think about that. It's just so such a hard question.
Man, you've been great. Thank you so very much. A big thank you to Tabmok99. You guys make sure to check him out over on YouTube. Subscribe to him. Do you have any more? Check him out on Twitter as well. Do you have any other socials you would like to plug for us, or any other
Yeah,
areas we
check
can
out.
find you?
Yeah, YouTube is my main thing. That's every time I try to find out something really cool about Mortal Kombat that I can share with you guys, I'll put it in a YouTube video. I'm on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram. Um, I guess that's pretty much it. I just wanted to also say thank you so much for having me on. This was a blast. Headlock Gaming, big fan of yours, and thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
doing this.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Tabmok. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.